The Vikings, explorers, warriors, and traders. They came from the cold edges of the world, from the fjords of Norway, the forests of Sweden, and the icy shores of Denmark. Blonde-haired, axe-wielding demons, or so the terrified monks of England wrote, but the truth is more complicated. These were the Norsemen, the Vikings, and they were more than raiders. They were shipbuilders, poets, lawmakers, and dreamers. This is the story of a people who reshaped the world, not only with blood and fire, but with sails, trade, and memory. Before the longships sliced through Europe's rivers, the Norse lived quiet lives of farming, fishing, worshipping old gods. Odin the All-Father, Thor the Thunderer, Freya of love and war. But the land was hard, and winter harder. Food was scarce, honor mattered more than peace, and wealth, it was to be taken, not waited for. So in the late 8th century, they left, not as refugees, as wolves. It began with a storm. 793 AD, Lindisfarne, England. A Christian monastery, quiet, holy, until the sea roared. Longships slammed into shore. Men with iron axes and no fear of God came ashore. They slaughtered, burned, took gold, books, monks. Europe trembled. The age of the Viking had begun. They struck again and again. Paris, Dublin, Seville, Constantinople. Their ships rode rivers like arrows, sliding deep into kingdoms. They looted churches, shattered armies, took slaves. To the English, they were devils. To the Franks, a plague. But to themselves, they were earning honor, silver, songs for the skalds. The Viking longship wasn't just a boat, it was a revolution. Shallow enough to float on rivers, fast enough to outrun any sail, strong enough to cross the open sea. With these ships, they touched every corner of Europe and beyond. They reached North Africa. They traded with Baghdad. They settled Iceland, then Greenland. And nearly 500 years before Columbus, they reached North America. Vinland, the New World. They saw it, they named it, and they left. Not defeated, just unsatisfied. But not every Viking came with fire. Some came with amber, furs, soapstone, swords. And from Constantinople to the Caspian Sea, they weren't feared, they were welcomed. The Vikings built massive trading networks. They founded cities like Dublin and Kiev. They carried silk from China, silver from Arabia, and sold it across the north. They were pirates, yes, but also businessmen. At home, the Viking world was complex. They weren't one people, but dozens of clans and kings. Their laws were spoken, not written. Justice came through honor or vengeance. They worshipped gods who bled and wept. They carved runes into wood and stone. They buried their dead with swords, ships, sometimes with slaves. And women? They weren't silent. Viking women owned land, divorced husbands, led farms, and sometimes battles. Some sagas even speak of shield maidens, women who fought as fiercely as men. The Vikings believed in fate, in a world born of fire and ice, and an end written long before they were born. Ragnarök, the twilight of the gods, where even Odin dies, where monsters rise, the sky splits, and the world burns, only to begin again. It wasn't just myth, it was a worldview, that life was short, that death came fast, that the only thing that lasted was glory. But all ages end. By the 11th century, Europe was changing. Kings were rising, churches growing stronger. The Vikings began to settle, convert to Christianity, build towns instead of burning them. Some became kings, like Rollo, the Viking who founded Normandy, or Harald Hardrada, a Norse warrior who died trying to claim England, only weeks before William the Conqueror arrived. The Viking Age ended not with a single battle, but with time, with transformation. Today, we remember the horns, which they never wore, the raids, but not the poetry, the blood, but not the brilliance. But if you look deeper, you see what they left behind. Words in our language, laws in our systems, bones in our DNA. The Vikings were more than conquerors. They were creators, connectors. They didn't just shape the medieval world, they helped build the one we live in now. So next time you hear the word Viking, don't just think of axes and fire. Think of a people who dared to sail past the edge of the map and came back with the world in their hands.